start the announcements just with a quick reminder to folks that if you are making pledges during the offering and are paying with cash, that's awesome. If you can throw your donation into your pledge into one of the envelopes in the back of the church so that I know who they're coming from as assistant treasurer. Are there other announcements?
Thank you. With me, I have two.
Okay.
Mostly back to the fair, which is this Saturday from 9 to 2. If you haven't brought any food donations for the food basket, try to bring those in. We'll have some working here throughout the week. I know I'll be here on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, at least from 6 to 8. And then Friday night, there'll be a group of us here, probably, I'm going to say 6, but there's something for you to earlier until whenever we leave. So you can also bring them in then. After church today, after everybody has conversation, we need to move furniture from the hall into the sanctuary and set up tables. So anybody that can stay and help with that would be appreciated. Anybody that wants to bake for the food table, we're looking for donations for that also. And then I needed to announce the hang of the Reeves. We're going to have that on Friday night, November 26th, which they call Black Friday.
Read
for between 6 and 9 likely. So if anybody wants to help that, decorate the trees, we'll put the greens out on the canvas and windows and stuff. So I think that's it. Is there anything else? Okay. I think that's it.
Think of anything else.
Okay. See me during conversation now.
Any other announcements? Yeah.
Sorry, I still need a couple of workers, if anybody could help with the tables on Saturday. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Then with that, I will turn it over to our guest, Reverend Reeves.
Good morning. May peace be in your hearts. The energy of freedom and the warmth of love, may you live the fullness of being alive. And in that fullness find peace, justice, and understanding. May humanity be at peace. May all of life on earth live together in balance and peace. It's good to be with you all this morning. It's my first time here in Rockland. It's a pleasure to visit. I want to thank Rick Snee for inviting me and arranging for the service today. And in my capacity as visitor, I want to say welcome to the service. I think we are a Unitarian Universalist congregation, which to me means that we are a support community for people on various journeys towards ultimate goals, such as love, or peace, or union. And one of the ways we support each other is by seeing each other as of equal value. This attitude, I think, ties back to our Universalist tradition, which affirmed that all are saved. It's an equality image. It's not a hierarchical cosmos with the saved and the not saved. All are loved by God and saved, which is a supportive attitude. I think these days, that equality theme supports us as we connect with one another. We have differences, we are not clones, but being on equal, in a way, levels, we can build bridges to one another. And our differences make meeting on that bridge interesting. And that's what today's service is about, building bridges to equals. As I was talking with Rick about the service today, he was telling me that, of course, you're in between ministers, and hearing lots of ministerial voices from the pulpit. And we thought one way to add to that variety would be to offer a sermon that is of a different structure than most. A lot of sermons have an anecdote, a little story, and a lot of discussion about it. Today's service has a lot of story, a little discussion about it. You get to hear that kind of variety. I should add, all of the stories I tell in my sermons are true. And yet, they might not adhere scrupulously to actual facts and events. Nevertheless, I offer this sermon out of my caring for you and my wish to support you on your journeys. I hope that as you journey, you find love and freedom and live the full richness of being alive.
Please stand as you're willing and able, and join me in using the words found in time. Kindling this flame of our liberal heritage in our chalice of community, let us open to the presence of the sacred in our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth, sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end of all justice, our growth. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
And we'll play a hymn. It's, if you want to look at the words, I guess it's at number 188 in the hymnal. It's a short, slightly shortened version of a poem which goes, "Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again."
If it is language that makes us human, one half of language is to listen. Silence can exist without speech, but speech cannot live without silence. Listen to the speech of others, listen even more to their silence. We now have the opportunity to share our joys and concerns with one another. really sweet that the kids ages 5 to 12 are finally starting to get vaccinated. You know, my son and his mother congregates on vaccinated. And for returning more praise than some
Last night, me and Rick and the girls joined my parents and my dad's cousins and my cousins in the first large family gathering since the pandemic. Of course, everybody was, vaccinated and it was safe and it was masked, but it was just the first time we all really gathered and it was just so nice.
my last candle for all those joys and concerns held deeply within my brain.
In silence, may open to and sense of support, some spiritual and ethical source. Rest in that support. Let's take a minute for silence. Amen.
The purpose of church is to encourage all who gather here to grow more generous in spirit and in action. This is the great end of all the world's faith traditions, to bring the human being closer to the divine by acts of creation and compassion. We now take an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit, an offering that will support this self-supporting church and its many ministries. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received. truth, of life, of power, we bring ourselves as gifts to thee. O bind our hearts to the sacred hour, in faith and hope and charity. Amen.
The song, "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple," is a celebration of humility, which I think helps the attitude of mutual support and connectedness. And it is on page 16. The psychologist Alfred Adler addressed equality and love in this way in the word service. He said, "Inequality makes loving relationships, mutual cooperation, impossible." I might phrase it positively: equality makes loving relationships and mutual cooperation possible. As humanity has developed through history, so has social equality. Laws applying equally to everyone, democracy, in which one's voice matters, universal education have supported this development. Extending rights to women, children, and minorities has helped. In religious circles, the printed Bible allowed readers access to religious thinking. Universalist belief that all are saved further supported equality. This development of equality resembles the tectonic shifts of continents, such that over many years, we can find ourselves in a whole new place. This development also occurs one person at a time, which calls to mind my friend Bill. A few years ago, I visited Bill in Manhattan. We met in a courtyard near his office and bought a couple of big, soft New York pretzels. Bill told the pretzel man, "I am so grateful you sell pretzels here. It must be hard work on your feet for hours in all kinds of weather, but this pretzel just makes my day." The pretzel man said, "This is the first." A homeless man walked by asking for change. Bill asked him, "Do you like New York pretzels as much as I do?" The man paused, looked at us. Bill broke off half his pretzel and handed it to the man, saying, "If this isn't a great pretzel, come back and I'll give you another." The man walked off munching. I said, "Are you a nut or something?" He said, "No, I'm just bringing love to New York City. Don't you think New York needs a little love?" We walked up the avenue. The manhole was open with a few phone workers around eating lunch. Bill remarked to them, "It must be difficult working underground, but it makes so much difference to all of us when our phone calls go through." Workers stopped mid-bite and looked at Bill. I wanted to tell them, "I'm not with this guy." One nodded at Bill. He looked at the man next to him, and the two made a little fist bump. I said, cut it out. You're making me nervous. I do this all the time, he said. Nobody's taken a pot shot at me yet. I mean, what's so bad about appreciating people and seeing the world through their eyes? I mean, what does it get me to wrap myself up in a cloak of superiority or shut myself down in fear of being seen as inferior? Yeah, I'm unusual, but pretty soon everyone in New York will be benevolent and caring. Look, he said, an Indian Pakistani restaurant. And over there, a kosher deli that features falafels. And it's happened in my office. I don't believe it, I said. Restaurants are one thing, but I knew his law office, Deckham, Lord, and Nash, with his reputation for coldness and superiority. He said, yep, since I've been there, it's a whole new place. My friend, an attorney, had lost a job at his former law firm by getting into constant struggles with his colleagues. He used to complain that they were out to get him, watching and judging his every move. He would then leap to judgments of them. I can't believe how stupid he is, or how she became a partner, I'll never know. And he's so judgmental. How can I work with that judgment hanging over me? This went on for a year until they showed him the door. Bill sent out resumes and obtained interviews, and in each interview he railed at how stupid his former law firm had been and how judged he had felt there. He received no offers, of course. My friend could be quite prickly, but he was kind to me, and I always sensed in him a capacity for understanding. One day, someone else did too. Bill told me the story. I was going for my interview at, Deckham, Lord, and Nash. Nervous as a long-tailed cat entering a room full of rocking chairs. I knew my interview style wasn't working for me, but I kept expecting the interviewer to see things as I did. I wanted to make such an airtight case against my old firm that my interviewer would say, "You were wrong. Your judgment is flawless, and their loss is our gain." In the elevator going to my interview, I sensed everyone silently picking me apart. My suit, my tie, my hair, my face. And I stood there picking them apart. Shiny suits, garish ties, misguided haircuts, and lifeless faces. At the 30th floor, everyone left the elevator but me and an elderly gentleman. He looked anxious, and I thought, what do you have to be scared of? I'm the one going for a job interview. The elevator rose, then with a snap, jerked to a halt, and the lights went out. The man said, "Uh-oh." I said a few choice expletives. I was going to be late for my interview. I banged on the door. The man groaned. I heard him slump to the floor. I groped around and found the emergency phone. "Hello," I said. "I'm stuck in an elevator somewhere above the 30th floor." "We know," the voice said. "Be calm. We're starting to look into this. We don't know what happened. It may take some time." "How long?" "We don't know. Be patient." And the old man said, "I hate this. I get claustrophobic." I thought, the exact thing I don't need to be stuck in an elevator with a nutcase. "I'm shaking," the man continued. "When I was a boy, they punished me by locking me in a closet. They leave me alone for hours." That stopped me. In the dark of the elevator, I could see in my mind's eye a boy cowering in a closet. Something inside of me opened to this man. Maybe it was because I could see nothing, so my heart's imagination went to work. Maybe it was because we both shared our current misfortune, stuck in an elevator. Maybe his aloneness in a closet reminded me of my aloneness. Always one up, or one down, never at one with. Though strange to me, I felt close to this man and could glimpse what he was going through. It was not a cataclysm like God speaking to Saul on the road to Tarsus, more of a still, small voice that told me I was connected to this man. I paused with this realization and spoke. It's different now, I told him. In this together, not alone. Both sat breathing. Said, I can understand. When I was a boy playing football, everyone tackled me under a mountain of boys. I couldn't see, couldn't breathe. My face pushed into the dirt. I thought the weight would crack my ribs. We introduced ourselves and talked of other experiences in enclosed spaces. As a kid, I had fun making forts and tents in my room. He had once almost drowned. I said, I can see how a small space would upset you. The man said, I don't change the oil in my car. I can't slide underneath it, unscrew the plug. I couldn't conceive of going into a cave. Even New York City feels too confined. And it's an island and all these skyscrapers. I'd be happier in Montana. I'm the only person in America who takes vacations to Nebraska. But I love to see the open sky. As a young man, he continued, I traveled the country hopping freight trains. I remember one August afternoon in North Dakota, the prairie swept out, endless on all sides. Grass and grain waving in the breeze. The sun seemed to ease down like a child settling to sleep. Washed everything in gold. The train rocked like a mother, and I stood in this open flat car, soaking in the light and the space. That night, the stars swam in the sky above the moving train. The occasional farmhouse glowed. The earth seemed to breathe and repose, waiting the next dawn. When the sun rose, the ponds offered wisps of vapor. Ducks and geese and larks seemed to leap into the transparent, infinite sky. You know what they call a group of larks? Exaltation. An exaltation of larks. Again, in my mind's eye, I could imagine his experience and almost see the open prairie. The old man asked, do you work here? Have a job interview? Bet you're nervous. Yeah, I am. I hate feeling judged. Might be nervous too, but your interviewer has a big job and might also be anxious. And whatever judgment occurs, you are just as human as your interviewer. But I'll bet you get hired. You're a calming presence. Let me talk about my fears, and then about North Dakota. I mean, who else would care to hear a story about North Dakota? I'd hire you. You work at Deckham, Lord and Ash? Said no, and I hear they're a tough old law firm. Then again, you're human, nervous, confused, you're calm listening. Listen to us breathing in the dark. He asked, would it bore you to hear more of my travels? Seem to find it comforting. Sure. So onto the black canvas of the elevator, he painted verbal landscapes of the wide spaces of America. Mojave Desert, rim of the Grand Canyon, wheat fields in Kansas. After a while, we heard some activity outside, and a crowbar pried open the door, casting light on us. Mechanics pulled us out. The man and I parted. A worker ushered me into deck them Lord and ash and explain my tardiness. I sat across from my interviewer, who looked peeved. I thought of saying, I've just been stuck in an elevator, so lighten up and give me a break. But I could see his situation, like I could see the prairies through the old man's eyes. I said, you must have had to juggle your schedule to meet with me just now. He grunted and went through a series of questions. He's human, I reminded myself, and anxious. As we finished, I said, you face a big challenge finding the best person for this job. A lot of weight must ride on your shoulders. He looked at me, skepticism on his face. I shook his hand, good luck. As I rode another elevator down, I smiled at me, the applicant, wishing him good luck. A few days later, he called to tell me I had a job. And so I began at Deckham, Lord and Nash, the infamous law firm. A haughty associate showed me around. I thought, he's trying to appear so superior, but we're equally human. What if we were stuck in an elevator together? What might he be afraid of? A still small voice of insight told me he would fear not being in control. To help him feel in control, I told him, I am glad to have you showing me around. You seem to have your finger on the pulse of this firm. He seemed to brighten up. I met my secretary, who looked like a turtle with half her head inside her shell. I said, I hope we can work as a team because I need your help learning the ways of this office. I am sure you know a lot about how this firm operates, and I'm open to all you can teach me. She stood tall. Yes, I'd be glad to. One day, a partner with a reputation for feasting on associates and picking his teeth with their bones stalked into my office. I felt afraid, but simply sat and listened. Maybe everyone else either used his surliness for profit or ran away from it. Maybe no one just stayed and listened to him. As I listened, I said very little. When he left, he shook my hand and thanked me. Word filtered back to me that another junior associate had learned of my firing at my other firm and had told the office an exaggerated version of my failings. I told everyone of his success in a recent case. For a while, he gave me odd looks, but when we were both assigned to a case, he welcomed me into his office and said, I asked to work this case with you. I think we'll make a good team. And we did. Months went by, everything seemed to be going along pretty well, until one day, a senior partner, Mr. Lord, stormed into my office. Mr. Bridges, he declared, for 30 years, this organization has been steeped in superiority and suspicion at every rung of the chain of command. But now my clerk, ordinarily his own species of snake, has become affable to the point of making bows to the janitors. One senior partner who has lived to display the epitome of sartorial stuffiness now lounges in his office in shirt sleeves and bracelets. Another partner whose reputation for egregious surliness has never been challenged now insists on sitting at partners' meetings with a grin plastered across his face. The associates, whose stab fests once rivaled those of the Roman Senate, now roam our corridors seeking someone's back to pat. Even the secretaries are cheerful. It's an outrage. As I consult with our staff about this, Fingers point to you. What can you tell me about the sea change at Deckham, Lord, and Hatch? He's afraid and human, I had to tell myself. Scared of change, of his firm losing status, of personal vulnerability, of not being in control. I said, I confess, I have grown weary of judging and of being judged, so I am seeing the people around me as of equal value to myself and seeing their perspective on the world. That may have had an influence, perhaps to ease tensions here at the office. But I realize you are the senior partner with a call to lead this firm. You have to uphold standards and keep the ship of this firm on a proper course. Sir, leadership is a lonely and thankless job. I could see an ounce of weight lift from his shoulders. Right you are, Bridges, he said as he left. A few days later, he had me in for branding and talked over his vision for the firm. More work for the indigent and the environment. It seemed Mr. Lord had felt alone, with no peer in whom to confide. He still saw me as an underling. He also saw me as someone who could glimpse his burdens and understand. My friend told me the story and added, it's a shift from a life of being better or worse than others to seeing life through others' eyes. Look at someone else and realize he or she is not better or worse than me. And then I ask myself, what is this human being, my brother, my sister, going through? People give me funny looks, but from this perspective, it is as if we are all in an elevator, together at the same level, and we may as well support each other. Deckham, Lord, and Nash is now a pleasure to work for, and my friend Bill Bridges seems joyful as he breaks bread with homeless men and sips brandy with law partners. His insight is ultimately spiritual. The spirit thrives in connections, relationships, love, and that connections do not cross lines of superior and inferior. Indeed, the Spirit sees no ranking, loves all, infinitely and equally. The Spirit supports us as we make graceful arches to connect with the sacred in each other. This attitude of equal valuing is expressed in this hymn, This Is My Song.
Please stand as you're willing to, and join me in saying the words from your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, or the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
I want to thank Lauren and Maddie and Rick and all of you. We're all together here for creating this service, creating this community. Supportive community like this has the attitude of we're in this together. We thrive by cooperating and collaborating. Be in this community, be at peace.